Good morning. It's 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Welcome to Big Bets on Campus Live. I'm your host, Stuckey. And joining me, as they will, each and every Saturday morning throughout the end of the year, is the three-man weave. We have a lot to get to today. We have our best bets. We'll get to our favorite spots, spin the wheel a little bit. I do want to remind everyone to download the award-winning Action Network app where you can find all of our picks, lots of data, actionable content for today's slate. So let's get right into it and start with our best bets. Matt, why don't you kick things off for us?
Yeah, going Western Kentucky, the tops. This is a home run spot, man. There's some revenge on the mind of Rick Stansbury and the boys out there. Got beat in a devastating loss overtime last year's Conference USA championship game. Now they get the bounce back revenge spot here against the Mean Green. And you look at this game anecdotally, and you think that Grant McCasland may have an edge against Rick Stansbury, but it's not the case. Stansbury's 4-2 outright against McCasland in the last 6 meetings, with 2 of those losses coming in overtime. So I think just the sheer size and athleticism of the tops gets it done today.
Yep, I agree. I have this one circled too. I think their length and size will give North Texas a lot of trouble. I had this spot circled as well. That championship game last year was wild. North Texas up 17-0, Western Kentucky then up 48-41, and then they eventually lose in overtime. Kai, how about you? Where are you going today?
Stay in Conference USA. I'm going Charlotte. Charlotte minus 14.5, minus 15 against UTSA. UTSA, man, is an utter mess. They're down 3 starters. Jang left the team. Cedric Alley's likely out for the year. Ivy Curry, their best scorer, has been out for a couple games now, and they haven't covered their last 6 games. Against a team like Charlotte on the rise, it's a name your number game for Charlotte. I'm pounding the 49ers.
Yeah, I did this. I mean, UTSA is just in free fall mode.
Shambles.
It's just a mess. I think they lost by 32 the other night. I think their only win over the last month is against Dallas Christian, maybe.
Yeah.
So love this one as well. Jim, how about you? Where are you going?
Yeah, I also wanted to note, Kai, you're getting Clyde Trapp back for Charlotte. He missed last game.
Good.
40% 3-point shooter, transfer from Clemson. That's pretty powerful in the CUSA. I'm going to the American, going for a total here. Houston and Tulsa, the under. I think I saw 135 out there. You might be able to find 135.5 if you look around. But for the season, both these teams are out their best scorers. Houston, you're missing Sasser and Tremont Mark. Temple, you're missing Caleb Battle. Obviously, that's probably built into the line, but I think you're getting a slow game here. Teams trying to battle in the half court. Tulsa can zone, throw some different defenses at this Houston team. It's still trying to figure things out in the backcourt. Shed's been great since taking over at point guard, but they still lack kind of the scoring pop that they usually have. So I'm liking the under here. Think this stays half court game between Houston and Tulsa.
Love it. I'll close things out here with Bryant. We go with the Bulldogs here. Similar to Matt in Western Kentucky, championship revenge from last year when they lost to Mount at home in the NEC conference title game with a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. Look, I've been waiting for a spot to get Bryant. I think this is the spot. They've had 8 or 9 days to prepare for this game. Love Jared Grasso and that staff. They have some shooting regression coming, and I'm just not a fan of this Mount team. I also think Bryant is better equipped to handle Mount down low this season, which they weren't last year. But I think Bryant, as long as the shots are falling, they should be able to blow Mount out of the water here. So give me the Bulldogs. All right, let's move on to our next segment, Spot Up, and we're going to talk our favorite spots on today's slate. Once again, Matt, I'll start with you. Where are you going?
Yeah, going to the Sun Belt here. I'm taking Appalachian State, a team that I've not been super impressed by, to be blunt. Don't have a ton of size up front, but they got some shot-making guards. The spot here is juicy because they just played at Coastal on Thursday. Now they're traveling to Coastal basically together in like a caravan fashion. That line on Thursday closed around 3. Now you're catching 4.5 on the other side of the coin there. You just can't justify a 7-point swing from a one-game outcome, especially when you saw App State lead at the half. Now perhaps I have them overvalued, but I think this spot's too juicy. I think there's some overvaluing of the home court here by the odds makers. So take App State plus the points, 4.5.
Yep, I would agree. And this spot last year did work out for the against the spread loser and these kind of back-to-backs. Kai, how about you? Where are you going with your favorite spot of the day?
Yeah, I'll kick off a little Big 12 run here for the boys. Iowa State +2, Hilton Magic, notorious for getting hyped for these huge games. And Iowa State has a chance to pull to 2 and 3 in the Big 12, stay within the mix. They're getting Texas, who has some momentum, but this Texas team is still 1 and 3 against the spread on the road. They're clearly not the team that we thought they'd be in the preseason. I still think there's some warts there. and Hilton Coliseum, just one of the hardest places to play in the country. I think the Clones make Texas's offense a living hell today, and I think it's a close game the whole way.
I actually disagree with this one. I like Texas, but I've heard really smart people on both sides. Let me go. I'm going to go to Matt and Jim before I get to Jim's pick. Matt, who do you like here?
I like Texas, man. I think you're catching some cheap prices with the Longhorns right now. And I know I was on record saying Iowa State was on a top 50 team as recent as a week and a half ago. That take will not age well. So I'm perhaps too stubborn there on my sort of shorting of the Clones, but I like Texas here. I'm with you.
So maybe you're going to say they're the 49th best team, Jim.
49th best team, yeah, but no higher, not a slot higher. Will not budge.
I'll side with Kai. I'll make it an even split 2-2
Jim.
here. I think the Clones Hilton Magic is too much to say no to. They've just been so much better than I expected. And Texas against like highly competent defenses can really get stuck in the mud. We saw it against Oklahoma State on the road, and I think Iowa State's a much better team.
I think we'll learn a lot about both teams. I just trust the Texas offense a little more in a game with two elite defenses in a game that should just be an absolute grind in the half court. But Jim, where are you going for your favorite spot of the day?
Staying in the Big 12, as Kai mentioned, I'm going with current number one Baylor. They haven't been able to drop from the rankings yet, but number one Baylor's been off since their unfortunate loss at home to Texas Tech. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State playing their third game in 5 days. I think that's a great get right. Let's pound them. Favorite home spot for Baylor. And also one small factor, the only, or I guess the last loss that Baylor had last season was to Oklahoma State. A lot of these guys, Mayer, Cryer, Flagler, they're all back from that team. I think this is a pretty nice spot for Baylor with the schedule that Oklahoma State's in the middle of.
Yeah, and similar to Oklahoma State's previous game against Texas Tech, I just don't think it's a great matchup for them. They just can't shoot, and I don't know how they're going to score against Baylor. For me, I'm going to go with Kansas State as a home dog here, and I think a really good buy low, sell high spot. Texas Tech, an incredible week, right? They beat Kansas, they beat Baylor, they blow out Oklahoma State. They have Iowa State on deck now. But before that, they go to Manhattan for a noon tip against a Kansas State team that, is 0-4. They're going to be in desperation mode, but they've been scrappy. They've been close. They've lost 4 straight, but 3 of those losses have come by 3 points or less. I think you get their best effort here. And I think they actually match up pretty well with their 5 out. They can shoot a little bit. It's not like they're a rim reliant offense against that no middle. So I think Kansas State is scrappier. I think they end up winning this game outright, but I think it'll be close throughout. Jim, I know you disagreed with our Texas Iowa State take. Same conference. Are you agreeing or disagreeing with me here?
Yeah, it's not a full disagree. I think your 5 out point is the astute one. The fact that they can actually knock down shots and maybe stretch out this defense, because per Jared Burson from ESPN, Texas Tech's gone 8 straight games where they've given up the lowest points in the paint for their opponent in the entire season. Like 8 straight games, whether it was Gonzaga or Kansas or Oklahoma State, like every single team just cannot score inside. So to beat them, you do need some sort of a perimeter attack. And I think it's key that you noted that Kansas State does have that.
Yep. Yeah. And Texas Tech should get Terrence Shannon back today, but that actually could work against them just, in the first game back, right? There could be some rust. You got to assimilate them back into the lineup, a lineup that's been obviously playing well. So maybe that works against them. I don't think it's just a slam dunk. He comes in and everything is right back to normal. All right, let's close things out here and spin the wheel. Let's spin the wheel here, producer. Let's spin the wheel for us. All right, we're going to the island, Hawaii. On the island, are you backing the Bows here?
Backing the Bows big. This is no bargain of a spread of a price. I will say that -6 right now against a UC San Diego team I respect in general. We just saw a young UC Irvine team make their first trip to the island on Thursday. Game was never competitive. I think this is the first time you're going to see UC San Diego since their recent move to D1 make this trip. So it's an unfamiliar territory. Again, a youngish team. And the Bows have a big interior advantage up front. The return of Bernardo da Silva, a former lauded Brazilian prospect. He's played 30-plus minutes last 2 games, looked near dominant. And the added bonus here, you might get Mate Kalina back, just another 7-foot tower up front. Just a massive paint edge here for the Bows. I think they dominate in pretty emphatic fashion here.
Love it. Let's give the wheel another spin for Kai. Where are we going here? New Mexico State against Abilene Christian. Guy, what's the look here?
Well, first of all, guys, just count how many offensive rebounds New Mexico State grabs in this game. If Abilene Christian is indeed down Arian Simmons again, like they were against Grand Canyon, I'm going to set the number at 25. And that sounds high, but literally Abilene has 0 size up front without Simmons. Grand Canyon only grabbed 10 offensive rebounds, but that's because they hit 73% of their shots inside the arc, 50% from deep. They just didn't have enough chances to grab rebounds, grabbed about 41% of them when they actually did. I think New Mexico State's going to run them off the gym. New Mexico State -8 right now in most markets.
Yeah, I had Abilene the other night, and right before tip, it came out that Simmons was out, and I said, oh boy, we better hope for some shooting luck. Along those lines, Jim, how are you treating, this odd year where you just find out, 10 minutes before tip, this guy is out, this guy's out? Are you betting less, betting more? Are you just saying, look, I hope it evens out with news? How are you approaching this just from, a broad perspective?
I'm trying to be picky about it because there are so many lineup changes late that it's like you could add 7 games and buy off 5 on any given like time window, just the amount of different lineup changes that happen. So I'm mostly trying to say, like, if it is a super key guy where they have no replacement, that's where I want to step in. And that's why I think Kai's got the right side here, because there is no replacement on that Abilene Christian team for Simmons.
Nope.
He does everything for them inside, and they play a whole bunch of like 6-foot guards outside of him. And that's not going to help in the rebounding department.
Yep. All right, let's spin the wheel for Jim. Let's see what we got. St. Louis laying 13.5 at home against Fordham. Got some player news with Fordham. Where are you going here?
Yeah, I was against Fordham with Duquesne in their last game, and Antonio Day hit basically kind of a buzzer beater. I think he scored with like 2 seconds left to beat Duquesne. And the next day he withdrew from school. It's like, oh man, couldn't he have done that a couple days earlier?
The ultimate
yeah, 17 point a game score. He's been terrific for them. Now he's out of lineup, just entirely off the team. And Fordham was already 353rd in the country in bench minutes. They have no depth. This guy was playing basically every minute. Now they go to St. Louis, who, Matt, in the past, we haven't really liked as a favorite, but this year they have more shooting. They're playing a little more up tempo, more offense, better to lay spreads with. I think up around 13, 14 is a good spot or a good price. You could probably even like the under here too, because I don't think Fordham scores much without Day.
Yeah, I think another look here is if, Fordham, without their best player, if they come out and it's one of those efforts where everyone is all in and they play a little well in the first half, and, maybe they're down 3-4, 4-5 at the half, and then you can get St. Louis second half. And then, as you mentioned, they have no bench, so you could see them just fading hard in the second half. Would you agree with that, Jim?
Yeah, I like that angle too. I wouldn't recommend St. Louis first half just because of that angle, but I think full game they'll get it done.
All right, we got one last spin for myself. Give me a good one, producer. All right, we got Virginia Tech -6.5 at home against Notre Dame. I like the Hokies here. I played them -6. I would play them a little smaller, -6.5, 6, 7 key numbers in basketball with fouls. But I think this is a great buy low, sell high spot for Virginia Tech, who's just been snake bit to start the year. They've been close. I still have them Powerade as a top 30 team. They just can't buy a break at some of these close because they couldn't score the final 3 minutes against Virginia Tech. Notre Dame, meanwhile, it's won 6 straight. They've been great at home, but they've been a different team away from South Bend. I mean, this is a team that, that got blown out by Boston College. You barely beat Pitt. So I think this is a get right spot for Virginia Tech. I really like their half court offense here against Notre Dame. And more importantly, Notre Dame won't pressure them, won't pressure Storm Murphy. They should be able to get into their offense here where they'll have some advantages. So give me the Hokies here as a home favorite.
Yeah, Stuckey, I love being able to bet against an ACC time. Anytime they start to get the buzz of second best team in the league, that's when you want to step in. They're about to lay an egg. No one is the second best team in that league.
It's just Duke and then everyone else. That's all you need to know. Yep. All right, that'll do it for us. Appreciate the 3-man weave joining me as always. You can listen to our podcast, Big Bets on Campus, wherever you find and listen to your podcast. We will have episodes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. We will also be back every Saturday morning for Big Bets on Campus Live, same time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Good luck on your wagers today, and we'll catch you next week.